Hey, what's up, Sumolings? It's Christy with AppSumo. Happy Wednesday. Super stoked to have you with us today. Today we are joined by Shai, who's the founder and CEO of Fleeq. Welcome.
Hey guys, how are you guys?
Awesome. We are happy to have you. Guys, if you can hear us, if you can see us, go ahead and say hello in the chat box. We'd love to know that you're here and that everything is cool. We'd also love to know where you're tuning in from. Erin is saying, yo. Lexi's saying hello. Awesome. That means they can hear us and see us. Good. All right. We got Toronto, Tennessee, Mexico in the house. What's up? People from all around the world tuning in to see you, Shai. No pressure at all. Okay. Just to know. So guys, if you've never seen one of our webinars before, here's how it works. Right now you're seeing the two of us, but in a second, I'm going to shut my camera down, shut my microphone down. Shai is going to take you through a demo of Fleeq. And actually, if you're here for that demo, you're in the right place. But just in case you don't know what Fleeq is and you just happen to stumble upon this webinar, let me tell you, Fleeq lets you quickly create bite-sized training videos so you can improve communication and increase efficiency. And it's on AppSumo right now for only $99. So this is a fan favorite, so I'm glad that you are here today, and Shai's going to show you exactly how you can use it for your business. He's going to take you through a demo and walkthrough. At any point you have a question for him, go ahead and use the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen. Please do not use the chat box for your questions because they will get lost. That's where everyone kind of chats and talks. But if you have a specific question about the tool, use the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen. Then when he has done the demo, I'm going to come back on and ask him your questions live. So that way you guys can focus on the demo and not necessarily have to watch the Q&A box the entire time. And if you can't make it until the end of the webinar, don't worry, because I'll be sending out a replay of this later today that you can catch up on. It'll also be on YouTube, you know, if you need to reference it in the future. So I think we are all good. People are, someone said, Shane says, we expect great things. So we are going to bring you great things today, Shane. Don't you worry. Awesome. So let's just make sure your screen sharing works, and then I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. So I'm just going to try and share my screen right now, and let's see that we're good on that.
Yes, perfect. All right. I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay. Thank you. So hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for this webinar about Fleeq, and as just said, we are now live on AppSumo. So I'm just going to give you a very brief overview of what we are, and then we'll just jump into how we are doing this. So Fleeq, as just mentioned, is a bite-sized training video platform that lets you create bite-sized training information. Now, the thing that I want to start off with is that video as a whole is very challenging for corporate or interactive communication. I'm not talking about video for, I would say, marketing or for entertainment, which video was made for or born to, but when it was derived for internal communication, like training videos, support, customer success, product even, and alike. Everybody took video because video is, is the common and most attractive way to deliver a message. However, creating so many videos in order to get to that message is overwhelming. It's challenging, and not everybody has the facility, the skill, the ability to create these videos. So this is exactly what Fleeq was made for. Now, I want to start off with a very simple use case to illustrate that story and how we're doing this. And then we're going to dive into specific scenarios, and we'll try to touch on almost every aspect of Fleeq. But we got to start somewhere. So we're going to start with a very simple scenario of what Fleeq is in a very simple use case. So I've just jumped into my platform and I've joined into one of my teams. So basically Fleeq is, the platform itself is derived for team. By the way, every coupon on AppSumo or every plan you're buying on the Fleeq platform is actually associated with a team, right? And with a team you have teammates, creators, and the like. Now, every team actually is correlated into a brand as well, and we'll see that in a minute. So I've got into one of my teams, and I'm just creating my first Fleeq. So I just clicked on first Fleeq, create a Fleeq, and now I have this kind of environment. So I'm gonna just hit on add step. Now, Fleeq is actually an aggregation of steps, just like in a PowerPoint deck or a keynote. You're actually building slides, and then you're delivering a message. So it's similar in that, I would say, use case or flow. So just open up the gallery here on my end, which is like the place where I am choosing an image for a step, for instance. And I'm just gonna, I don't know, maybe I'll use this, yes. So I've just taken a specific image from one of our environment dashboards. And the use case that I want to go through here is I would like to explain about a feature in my environment, right? So I've taken a dashboard image, I've put it here. By the way, you can use images and you can upload them directly to your image gallery or video gallery, and you can actually use our Chrome extension as well that grabs images directly from your environment and syncs those into your environment and gallery. So right now I've just used one of the images that I've brought in before or prior, and now it's in. So I'm just gonna go here and sort of zoom that one out. So I want to get a whole bird's eye view of that image. And then I'm going to duplicate that here on the left. Now you can see, as mentioned before, it's just like a PowerPoint deck. So you have slides or steps here on the left. And now I will zoom in. You see, right? I'm scaling it out. I'm zooming in onto the left part of this. I'm going to do that again, right? And now I'm going to add some sort of an effect because I want to, illustrate my story about sort of a click action that I would like my customers, which are my viewers, to see or do. So they will sort of click on the task environment. I'm going to duplicate that again. I'm going to kill that effect, go back to the image, and I'm going to just like drag it here to the right a bit, right? Okay, that's cool. I'm going to add another effect, but right now I'm going to go to the spotlight here. I'm going to grab this here, and I will just, just gonna scale that out here, and I'm going to do that one more time. Just duplicated that step again on the left, killing the spotlight, go back to the image and zoom out. So again, just a very short recap, took an image, put it here, zoomed in on the left, add sort of a click event, took it to the right a bit, and just added a spotlight and took it back out again. That's it. And I'm going to go back to step number 1, and I'm now going into the second tab here. Now you can see that this is a visual, but this is the narration part. That's important. I'm going to write something like, this is our dashboard. And here I will do something like, on the left, you can spot the menu, right? You can spot. Now, this is real life, right? I mean, you're getting me with the typos. I'm not an English native speaker, so you can see what's the time it takes you to create a Fleeq. So on the left, you can spot the menu, and here I'll do something like, let's click here to see all relevant information about the tasks, right? About the tasks. Yep. Let's click here to see all relevant information about the task, and I'll say something like, here you can see all open and in progress tasks, right? And last but not least, let's do something like, hope this helps. Awesome, right? So it took me about a couple of minutes here. This is our dashboard. On the left, you can spot the menu. Let's click here to see all relevant information about the task. Here you can see all open and in progress tasks, and hope this helps. Now I'm going to save this one. So app sumo webby, right? So I'm going to save this. Now, the moment we're saving a Fleeq, it takes about 10 to 15 seconds. It relates to the number of images, text that we're adding here, but we're going to wait for a second. Now, obviously I can now show you what just happened via the Zoom environment that we're working on and now showing you the webinar itself, but I'm gonna do something even more interesting. So just click in the share button. I'm gonna copy the link to the Fleeq that was created, and I'm gonna go back to the chat, and I am in the chat itself, right? Listen guys, in the chat itself, I'm just adding the link to the Fleeq that was created. Now, what I'm asking you guys is to just click on the link that was just created, send out in the chat, and play it out. I don't want you to see it on my end. I want you to see how easy it was, not just to create it, but just to grasp the understanding of how the value was made so fast and even delivered in those couple of minutes. So if any one of you has just clicked it, watched it, just ping me back in the chat and say, seeing it, got it, some sort of thumbs up, anything. Just waiting a couple of minutes. Seeing it, very cool. So you guys are getting it, right? So you've just seen that, and I'm gonna, very impressive, congrats. Okay, so I'm getting the initial feedback. Now, this is just the beginning. Just wait on for just 1 second. So now this is the interesting part. So you've just really received the link to a URL that played out of Fleeq, right? Interesting. Now, right now, what I'm doing is on that specific Fleeq, I'm going to go to the first step, and I will do something like, this is our dashboard for today, right? On the settings, I will go to, just 1 second. So I'm seeing that somebody has some sort of a issue with one of the Fleeq that was created. We'll check that in a second. And I'm gonna go now to the audio, right? And I'm gonna change it from John to Jane, right? So maybe refresh on your end as well. It might have some sort of a latency on your end. Just refresh the page or refresh the Fleeq itself. So just change it from John to Jane on the audio. And I'm gonna save this for a second. Right, and now I'm gonna go into the localize and change it from English and add another language. So I'm saying English is the first language, but I will do that in Spanish as well. Continue, continue, continue. Now, and let's see what just happened. I'm not sending you anything else, okay? The interesting part about Fleeq is everything that was just shared with a customer, with an employee, with a partner, or whatever. What happens basically is the same Fleeq itself is now being changed in production, in the cloud, without any re-engineering or re-exporting, etc. So just 1 second, we're gonna wait here for a second. I need to load. See, just 1 second. Refreshed again. This is in English, and I will do it in Spanish as well. Just show you this again. Right, so it's now done. And I'm gonna show you on my end, but basically what you can do is simply refresh the page that, or the link that you just got a second ago, but just wanna show you something.
This is our dashboard for today.
So now it's in a different language, it's in a different voice. It's not a man, it's a woman. I've added the for today. Now on the bottom right, you'll see now two capital letters of EN. When you hover over them, you'll see the Spanish as well. You'll click on the Spanish, and the Fleeq refreshes to a secondary Fleeq, and that basically, or the second Fleeq, is a Spanish one. So just see it right now, see that it works for you. Just 1 second. So on your end, just, sorry. So on your end, just go over to the Fleeq that was created and now change it from EN to Spanish, and you'll see the same Fleeq in Spanish as well. One second. Just one second, checking the thing as well. Some of you just got 2 people just got an error. Page 1 alone, just 1 second, checking something. Sorry for this. One second. So I have no idea what's just going on. This is really, this is funny. We have more than 20,000 customers. And we have Fleeqs created every 5 or 10 minutes. And some just haven't, which I am very, very sorry to say that I have no idea, just pinged all my dev and IT team. Just 1 second. That's a first for me, and I'm doing tons of presentations and screen sharing. It loads perfectly on my end. So we do have some sort of congestion right now that I just got from the IT team. I'm sorry for this, guys. But we'll have to, take this webinar in an hour or so. Just got information about some sort of congestion that we're having on our end that we'll need to scale things up.
Do you want to take a few questions in the meantime?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to go into the Q&A.
So I can, here, let me see.
Does the Chrome extension allow you to capture the content and hover activate? Yeah. So there's an active and inactive mode in the Chrome extension that lets you to be interactive. And once you click on that, you can do any action within the, I would say, box or the realm of the area that you are willing to capture. And then you can see drop down and everything. Is there a Chinese TTS? Yes, there's that we have 44 languages in text to, 44 languages that we're translating to, and 27 with TTS, with text to speech, which are we have in translation simplified and traditional for Chinese, but in the narration part we have only for traditional, if I'm not mistaken. And as such, you can see that because there is a difference between the language narration TTS and the translation. What happens in some languages, if we don't have the translation, what you're getting is, for instance, the former or the basic language and the subtitles on the bottom, right? And what happens is basically that it's going to be like in the same former or basic language in English. And then on the bottom, the subtitles will be with the different language. So that's for Chinese and everything else. Is there a limited number of words you can add to any single stage narration field? I remember running into an issue when I think I exceeded some limit, or can the limitation be extended if I manually extend the time length of the slide? So you have up to 100 slides per Fleeq. You do not have any limitation per the step. However, if you go above, I think it's 200 characters or like, so what happens, we're disabling the captions, the subtitles on the bottom, because if not, if you're like, if you're gonna put in a 2-paragraph section there. So the subtitles were sort of like block the view of the Fleeq itself, right? Because we're going to scale it up and down everywhere. It's not limiting by the narration part, but it is limited by the number of rows that will be actually added live, right, on the step itself. So that's important for you to understand. So Fleeqs can be unlimited. Is there a choice of voices, accents in English? Yes. So basically, if you've spotted this one here, you can see on the settings that I've got into audio, and you can actually replace these. Like there's only like 10 dialects only in English, but in different languages there's difference in dialects as well, men and women. So definitely yes. Can you record your own narration? Yes. If you go to the audio stage, there's auto narration with what you've just seen, or custom narration. And there's background music as well that you can put in background, either use one of your own, I would say, files or MP3 files that you want to upload, or use one of our dozens of preloaded music that we've added here. Can you record your own narrations? Yes, as just mentioned. By the way, the narration meaning that once I'm clicking that on the custom narration, then what happens is you can either talk directly to the machine from the browser using the microphone, or you can upload your own MP3 file per step. What voice translation engine is being used? So for the TTS, that's the narration, we're using different versions of Watson of IBM, Poly of Amazon, and the new WaveNet by Google. For the translation, we're using the business API from Google for the translation. It's not the thing you're seeing when you're going into Google and try to translate something. It's much better, high-proof value. But not only that, one of the things that's important to state is, even though if you have, I would say, created a translated Fleeq, right on top of that, you can basically go to the sub-Fleeq that was created. So right now, I've made my translation, I've made my Fleeq in English, and then I am just translating it into Spanish, and now I can go into the Spanish one here and just do my own proofing. So if I'm not sure about what was the wording that was created, and I have my own native speaker and I just want to perfect that, I can basically go here and do it. So basically what it means is the base one, or the basic one that was created, then you're creating a sub-Fleeq, and you can control that sub-Fleeq and the wording of that sub-Fleeq. Is there a maximum file length, runtime, or a word count? I was accurate the foreign language. So I just answered about the foreign language narration translation. And as for the size I've mentioned before, but just going to recap again, 100 slides, no cap on the number of words. But if you I would say if you use a vast, wording per step, we're going to cap the subtitles themselves. The specific use case I'm considering for my question regarding the file length, word count, would be using Fleeq for audiobooks, book page views, or course content podcast. So that's an interesting concept. We haven't got to that, and we'll dwell that in a second. So courses are basically I would say an aggregator of Fleeqs. It's like a playlist, right? So you can use one of the Fleeqs that was just created, but just like in an ordered manner of one after the other, into a sense of now there's a story that you can create. Now, of course, there's a playlist that on the left, there's the name of the Fleeqs, and it's ordered by. So you can use that for creating a longer story from one to a different Fleeq, et cetera, et cetera. Can we create slides and create a video out of this explainer? So you can export any one of these Fleeqs into an MP4 file. You go into the All Fleeqs library, and then on the three dots on the right, you just click on that and then export that into a video or still images. And if you still images, you can just throw them into a presentation. You've seen me right now using images, and I would say dumping them into the environment and creating Fleeqs, but you can also use videos, and you can also use a presentation to create the Fleeqs themselves. So you can use images, PDFs, presentations, and videos to create Fleeqs. If you add a video, it gets into a step, right? So you use a video inside a step, and then you add narration on that. We cap the size of a video in step for 10 megabytes. But again, you can use dozens of steps and create a longer Fleeq. Can we create slides and create a video? That's what I just said. Can we translate multiple languages and have them all selectable? Yes, you can have multiple languages selectable, as just mentioned. How have your clients used the Fleeq tool? So great question. So the use cases of Fleeq vary, right? I mean, in most cases, you're thinking something in the sense of explaining about digital assets, which makes a lot of sense. By the way, this is the Spanish one. Right here, I've mentioned before, you can switch between English and Spanish and the like. So you just click on the right side and then you're switching between.
This is our dash.
Between the languages, and you can make multiple languages. And the use cases themselves, they vary. So one of the, I would say, examples would be that one company took us, a very big company, and started using the Fleeqs for promoting their product via digital, I would say, technical marketing. So they tweeted out Fleeqs about specific features in the system. It's a huge company in the security realm. So they had like small, tiny Fleeqs about, did you know that you can export this and that feature, et cetera, et cetera. And then the HR picked it up a week later for internal usage, that they created a Fleeq that says, this is how you order food for new employees. And then the training and knowledge took it to upload presentation and use that to create, stories for new employee. And then the quality assurance used our product to reproduce bugs. So the concept is very simple. If you want to portray a story of some sort, you just add your content there, and then you have a story that is a linkable URL that you can control remotely. It's just like a Google Doc that just married an MP4 file, but it's on the cloud, and you can adjust it and use it and control it, and it's fully transparent about the progress and the like. So these are numerous use cases that you can use about this. How do you create or record, your own narration? So basically, I'm just going back here. I'm going to the settings, and I'm stating something like, okay, so I'm just going to go back to the English one for a second. And within the English one, what I'm doing is I'm going to the settings, and I'm going to the audio, and I'm selecting custom narration, and I'm going back to the video and content. And now you can spot that on the narration part, it's not going to me putting in text, but it's either I'm going to record a video, I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to record my own voice, or I can upload, right, an audio file for that specific section, for that specific step. So this is how I'm adding. Can you add Hungarian audio? I'm guessing that you're asking that because we don't have it. So we're using the big companies, so everything that they have their own, I would say, agenda about what type of languages adding in the TTS and the text-to-speech. So we're just piling up from there. So if it's not on the list right now, it's probably coming. Can you switch back and forth to different narrations with a single Fleeq? No, within one Fleeq, you can get only custom or only auto, and within the auto itself, it's just one language. Do you need a microphone for good sound quality on narration? Well, obviously, if there's background noise and everything, it's just like the same, microphone you're using on your desktop or your MacBook or whatever. So obviously, if there's noise, we don't have noise cancellation technology within the microphone itself because it's coming from the browser. Can we embed the HTML video page? Yes, great question. So basically, I'm just gonna discard any change that we had. So I'm gonna keep the former one. So I'm just grabbing, just 1 second. So I'm sorry for this. I'll go back to the settings, to the auto, saving this. Nothing has changed literally. Right. Yeah, we're still going in steps. Right. So I'm going to share this. I'm going to, instead of going with the link right now, so I'm just copying the embed code on the bottom. So going into CodePen. CodePen, if you're not acquainted with, it's an environment where you can throw in HTML, CSS, and JS code, and it it sort of gives you an understanding how it looks on your website. So just thrown in the embed code, and you can see here right now.
This is our dashboard for today.
Right, so it looks
on the left. You can spot.
It looks exactly like a YouTube page, right? It's on your YouTube embed. Sorry, so it's the same as. So you don't necessarily just need Fleeq as a whole URL browser full screen, but you can use it as a cool embed here. And by the way, there's on the bottom right here a full screen as well. So just like go in full screen and go out, just like a YouTube environment. Go back here. Yeah, back to the Q&A. Can you explain the difference of teams versus seats, how they are separated and how they relate? So team is a team that you can basically brand your own Fleeq. It means that you can have multiple seats, which are creators that are in that team. And creators are people that are creating with you those relevant Fleeqs and courses and wikis. And then you can use multiple teams to sort of segregate between relevant Fleeqs and the like. Now, a very important thing that happens within a team is branding. Per team, you are deciding about the URL that is a prefix for every Fleeq that you're having, a logo that you might want to see on the bottom right of the Fleeq itself, colors, et cetera, that you can put in the settings. So, so you can actually put in specific colors per Fleeq, but you can actually sort of control it in the major settings of all your team. It looks something like this. So there's branding, and you can put logo, and you can put colors and everything, but it changes between teams, so that's important, right? So per team is the branding concept, and within the teams there are seats. Seats are creators. Now, before going back to the questions, and because we had sort of a lag at the beginning, I'm going to stop here for just 1 second, and I just want to make a brief overview about some of the additional features, because we're sort of short on time. So we've seen what Fleeq is, right? So there's a course, wiki, and bar. Course, wiki, and bar are simply an aggregator of Fleeq. So a course basically is an aggregator that you can see on the left, like a category and a number of Fleeqs, and there's the story itself. Let me just show you a simple scenario of how this might look. A wiki, by the way, is the same thing as an aggregator. Just let me see. Right. So I'm going to share this. This is how a course might look like, right? So you have on the left story Fleeqs, and you can see here on the right the Fleeq itself, right? So it's sort of step by step that you can sort of tell a story of a number of Fleeqs. Now you can add Fleeqs, quizzes, and videos here. So that's important. We haven't discussed quizzes, but quizzes under the library here, you can see right here under the library, you can create Fleeqs, playlists, quizzes, GIFs, and videos. So videos that you're adding links to YouTube and Vimeo. Quizzes basically it's much like a I would say a Google form with a multiple question answer that you can create, and you can add them to courses. A wiki is an aggregator of sorts as well. This is, for instance, Fleeq's wiki using Fleeq, explaining about Fleeq. This is a page that you can create very, very easily. And again, it's very similar to the course, only its format, it's highly different visually. It's a category-based Fleeq aggregator, right? You put in a caption on the top, and then you add like categories, and within the categories, you're throwing in Fleeqs, and now you're getting a one-pager of aggregator of Fleeqs. So it's just like a course, only a course is like a story that you're portraying to someone with a step-by-step on the left with a category. And a wiki is a self-service environment that people can jump in and learn more. There's a search bar on the top right, et cetera, et cetera. A bar, as opposed to the course and wiki aggregators, a bar is a different story. Course and wiki and Fleeqs, by the way, are external links that you can send out. A bar is an integrated section that you can put within your platform. It's again an aggregator, but with a different story. You're creating a bar, and then you can integrate it with the JavaScript in your site. Once people click on the ribbon on the right that will be added, it looks like this. just like a spotlight in Mac, right? A sort of form of, I would say, a search bar will open up within your dashboard, within your environment, within your app, and then you can search for specific Fleeqs and then just play them out and people will get them. So again, course, a story, a wiki, a self-service environment, a bar is an internal search bar that helps people based on text to look for the relevant Fleeqs. Now, this brings us to learners, progress, and reports. These three relate to an environment that you can create to actually create learners groups, which is very important. You can actually create a group of people and assign to them specific content. Now, this is important, and I didn't mention that before, but we're gonna just mention here this one for a second. When you are creating a Fleeq, you can control the access level, whether this is a public Fleeq, a private Fleeq, or an opt-in Fleeq. A public Fleeq, anyone can see. An opt-in Fleeq is the environment where only people that put in their email can see the Fleeq, no verification. And a private Fleeq relates to the learning groups when you can say something like, I'm stating these are the emails that will be relevant to this type of content. So it's like I'm building a group, I'm putting in specific people or emails. By the way, this is very relevant for people who want to charge money for courses. For instance, what people are doing in our platform is that they're selling their knowledge, their courses on a different site. They're saying, so buy my Salesforce know-how for 20 bucks. They buy it in, they get their email, and then they're adding this email to this group. Once that is added, a person that signs into Fleeq see a team that says you can access that team, and they are now accessible only for the content that is assigned to this specific group. So you can put in the content, like courses, wikis, and Fleeqs that are only accessible to the people that you are putting here on the left. And you can actually give them a URL for all the content that is relevant to them right here on the right, on the top right, where it says use. Now, you can see live progress on Fleeq for every interaction that you're getting on the system, who sees what, where, and where, if it's an anonymous Fleeq, if it's an anonymous view as well, or just specifically, and from what country. We can see people here from Israel, that the US that are now viewing our Fleeqs. I think there's a UK, et cetera, anonymous, and this is, if you use non-anonymous, it says basically who's seeing what, where, but only if they're registered in the system. Reports gives you full visibility for the people that are signing in your learners group about who saw what, where, and when in percentage, and same for the quizzes, who finished them and what was the success rate. And two last things that I want to address right now, and then go back to the questions because we don't have a lot of time. Last but not least, analytics. You can have full transparency about who saw the views, the retention rate, I mean, who drops off where, the feedback loop that at the end of every Fleeq, there's a thumbs up, thumbs down. And last but not least, inbox. In every Fleeq, you now can add chat, right? Basically, I'm going into one of my Fleeqs here, and in the Fleeq itself, I'm going to enable chat. Enabling chat meaning that there will be a pop-up box of, you can ask me a question right now. So I'm going into the Fleeq that I was creating with you guys on the English section, going to the settings, going to the chat, enabling chat right now, right? Saving this. Now, if you will refresh the page for the Fleeq, the initial Fleeq that was created, not the Spanish one, you'll see on the bottom right, sort of a bubble, like just like intercom that you can interact with. If you haven't put in your email, you're going to put in your email, and then you can ask me questions, and then I can ping you back, right? And it's all happening live. So there's like an inbox environment that I'm getting that information here live, right? From you guys, if you're gonna ping me right now, and I will answer you live. And it's a one-on-one interaction. So it's not like a community, and it's not like a talkback environment. If you're gonna ask me a question, I'm gonna answer you a question. And if you're not online, or if I'm not online right now, it's gonna channel back via email for both of us. So that's sort of a different interaction that you're getting on the top of Fleeq as well. So if any one of you want to just go into the Fleeq and just ask me a question, I'll answer him back right now. That's a no-brainer as well. There you go. Just one. There's a couple of people answering. How are you guys? So you can see people right now. Somebody. So Jane just said excellent, great, and he's getting right now an answer. And we can see by the way that this guy. He just watched the webinar a few seconds ago. He completed it. He saw 100% and he had 2 views. So you're actually getting all the information live or on top of the Fleeq itself. And as you can see, it's totally live. So maybe one more thing I wanted to suggest, or no, I think we're good. So I'm just gonna go back to the Q&A. Can you explain the difference of Teams versus, so we've answered that. So I've answered it live. Can you explain? All right, okay, done. Can we embed? Yeah, we've seen how we can embed that. Answer live, done. Once Fleeq has been completed, can we host it on our servers? You can export that into an MP4 file, but then you're losing most of the good stuff that you're having, like remotely changing it in the live, etc. Does Fleeq offer the words we speak in self-narration to be transcribed? Not. Transcription is not yet available, but it's something that we are working on as well. So that's a good question. It's on the pipeline. Can these be downloaded and loaded to another platform? Yes, you can. You can see here on the right, you can go here and you can export them. Once you export them, you have 50 exports per month. So you can export them into an MP4, or just create a zip file, or just turning back into GIFs and working. A GIF is basically just like a Fleeq without audio. Can you set any of the duration of each image shown? I'm also wondering if you're uploading your own audio, how do you know how long? So great question. So when your audio is the anchor of the length of the Fleeq. So if you are writing text, it automatically sets the length of the slide. But you can add sort of gaps in the beginning, at the end, in the narration. So I'm getting back right now into how Fleeq looks like. And here you can see that there is the duration as well, on top of just like interacting. So here you can audio-based duration as well. So you can add your own audio and then set the duration itself. If a Fleeq is embedded to a website, how does it affect load time? It doesn't, because it's an iframe. So basically, it's just loading a different set of environment. It's not a JavaScript that loads upon the website. It's just like a YouTube embed. It means that there's like a hole in your website and it loads differently. So there's only one logo brand per team. Yes, if I add a logo to a video, there will only, sorry, you dismissed. I didn't got the last, so I'm going to go back to the answered one. Just one second. So only one logo, but if I add a logo to videos, there will only be that logo on every Fleeq that is created within that team. Yes, up to the time that you will change the logo. So per Fleeq, it will be the same. But if you want to like manipulate the system, you can add the logo, export, different logo, export, but then you're losing the Fleeq flexibility. So that's for that one. Is the white label related to just the videos being, white label is on everything, Fleeq's videos, everything. Could this be used to narrate fitness videos? I don't know, I guess so. We have actually customers that are using this. We have customers, we have Fleeqs about dental hygiene. We have Fleeqs about how to set up booths in expos. We have Fleeqs on digital, on political campaigns. We have Fleeqs about how to clean a handgun. I'm not kidding you. So basically, I've seen a couple of Fleeqs, and again, we're not looking into Fleeqs unless people are showing them to us for specific use cases. For privacy usage, we're not going into Fleeqs, even though they're in the public domain. But actually, I've seen more than one Fleeq in the fitness realm, especially for core exercises like in building tone, etc. So you put your arms like this and like that. So definitely yes. What chat providers are available? Active chat integration. So we have, I'm not sure I remember every one of them. We're going to go back to the settings here. So, and in the settings, So we have our own embedded chat, but in the third-party integration in the chat, you'll see that these are the 5 we have today: Intercom, Drift, Zendesk, Olak, and Userlike. Are we notified about chat messages? Yes, in two ways. First off, there's desktop, 3 ways. There's desktop notification. There's here the bubble on the top, in the inbox that you can see that right now, if you're in the dashboard, there's an indication saying that something is on there that you need to address. And there's an email if you haven't seen or if you're not in the system right now. Do you have any affinity program? Affinity, do you mean affiliate? Not sure what is affinity. Affinity. I don't know what affinity, but we have an affiliate program, so just contact support@fleeq.io. Is there a timeline for when you will support additional aspect ratios? Great question. So we're looking at Fleeq as something that's much more bigger than just video. We're working on extending the platform in numerous ways. I would say that before the end of 2019, you'll see something much bigger than just aspect ratio, about 16:9 and not 3:4. We're going to have mobile focus. We're going to have tons of stuff. But that's really close and down the pipeline. Cannot like specify when it's going to be, but the answer is yes. If we create a few thousand videos and then cancel the service, is there a mechanism to download the video in bulk? No, you can download up to 50 per month. But just to give you a sense of things, which is important, if I'm not mistaken, you are right now a viewer in the AppSumo deal. Now, the definition of Sumo is lifetime, and the definition of lifetime is you can't cancel the service. Are there any issues using this with user space? No, if you can put in an HTML iframe anywhere, anytime, you can put it there. And I'm pretty sure that just like in Wix and every other HTML building platform, you can put an HTML environment in your user space as well. Can you set up a wiki but then control the access sort of like a course? Yes, you can. Exactly. Great question. You can control the accessibility level to Fleeq's, wikis, courses as well, not just to the Fleeq themselves. I'm working for a school district. What are your privacy policies if I want to use this with students? As mentioned before, you can build it for specific learner groups. So in that sense, it actually states that this is a private Fleeq, nobody can access it. They need to put in a user password, they need to sign in, and you need to verify them based on their email or any other verification mechanism. Can we take a look at the public Fleeqs? No, it's just like YouTube pages. There's no discovery page. Although they are public, we are not giving you email. We're not giving you the URLs of people who have created Fleeqs. Definitely not. Just like I'm not going to use it on your account as well. Do the GIF exports show the specific effects like the moving pointers? Yes, they do have that. It's like a frame-based environment, so it's might be a bit rigid, but you can try it out. I mean, you have unlimited GIFs, by the way, in any AppSumo plan. So although we encounter some minor issues along the way that you see that were sort of finalized, and I'm seeing like this questions there on the chat. I'm not going to address them right now because most of them were in Q&A. I think we're good, and we have 4 minutes to go. So it's
Shai, you did a great job. Thank you so much for doing this thorough demo. Even with the hiccups, people are actually very excited in the chat box. So that's the good news. As we're wrapping up here, why don't you let them know where they can reach out to you if they have questions after the webinar?
Yeah, sure. So obviously people can ask questions on the AppSumo page. But if you think that this is something that will not be relevant to everyone, so just shoot it via the support at fleeq.io. It makes much more sense. If it's something that is related to the deal, it might be relevant to all, and you want other people's suggestions as well, put it there. But if not, if you want to get a straight answer on the private channel, support at fleeq.io.
Awesome. And so guys, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be sending you a replay of this webinar later today. So that way you can go back and watch it again or catch up on what you missed in case you arrived late. So thank you guys again for tuning into this. Shai, thank you for doing this demo, and we'll see you next time.
Sure.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.